Hi guys, and welcome to, first of all, this is going to be a very quick review for the JUZEAR Flame, which is a collaboration between JUZEAR and Angelears audio store. This is the IEM in question, okay? As you can see, basically in terms of its physical appearance, compared to the JUZEAR 41T, which was the first one to come out, it is exactly the same IEM. Physically, as you can see, the size, I hope this will focus, okay, same thing, thickness, everything is exactly, but I mean exactly the same, okay. This 41T has been surrounded by a lot of controversy due to the fact that Angelears mentioned that this is an upgraded 41T, and in all honesty, and I mean, I've got 3 41Ts. Yes, you heard that right. I bought 3 41Ts because I wanted to test the quality control of this IEM, and in case you just don't believe me, there we go. Okay, that's the box with one of them in there. That's another one, another box, and that's another box. The other one is actually near my rig because I just was doing some measurements. Okay, so I've got 3 41Ts. I've got 1 flame. I'm not going to get another one, and they are all the same IEM, exactly the same. Out of all 4, only the left channel on one of them has just a slight little bit less bass than the rest, but otherwise I can say that the quality or the overall quality control of this model, the 41T, the Flame, whatever you want to call it, is pretty good. It's pretty decent, pretty consistent, okay? This has, as we already know, in case you don't know, it's a 10mm dynamic driver and 4 Sonian BAs, 2 for the mids and 2 for the highs. The only difference in terms of appearance is the fact that this has this redesigned faceplate, kind of looking, kind of flame, fire, whatever, and then the shell is this darker color. Otherwise, the cable is, as you can see, exactly the same. There we go. Okay, focus. Hold on. There we go. If I can get this to focus. 1 second, guys, sorry. There you go, okay. 41T cable, flame cable. It's the same cable, people. It is exactly the same IEM, same accessories, same box, same cleaning. Everything is exactly the same, okay. It's only a aesthetic difference, which then dictates the price difference, roughly $189 for the Flame, $169 for the 41T. Okay, in terms of sound, what is it like? Well, in terms of sound, they are the same. They've got the same kind of neutralish signature, very smooth bass, which glides into the mid bass and into the mids. Very relaxed, very chilled out piano gain. Peaks at just under 3K and then starts dropping off from there onwards. Very, very smooth signature across the board. I personally don't find it to be in any way or form sibilant. I don't find it in any way or form to be aggressive in the highs or in the upper mids. There's no aggressiveness, and in that that 5K, give or take a few hertz here or there, nothing. It is a very smooth sounding IEM. It's got a relatively high impedance, 48 ohms if my memory jogs me correctly, which means it needs a little bit more power than other comparable IEMs of this design. But overall the 41T is a very nice sounding IEM. It's got a very smooth, very engaging kind of organic sound, very easy to listen to, non-fatiguing. Mids are very well done as well. If we are going to find faults on the 41T or on the Flame, it is that the extension is purposely being pulled back slightly, so it doesn't have the same kind of detail that you'll find on the Full Performer 5 or on the Audio Awur, for example, or even on the Soundrime SR5. And mentioning now those IEMs, that's the reason. The reason why I've got them here is that I'm kind of doing a revisit. I'm taking the opportunity that I'm talking about the Flame and the 41T to do a revisit to these IEMs and to actually mention a few things that I've actually been able to discover about them. Okay, so Flame, it is the same sonically as a 41T. If you want things in more detail, just go check out my review of the 41T and you'll see what I mean. Timbre and tonality is perfect for my opinion. Soundstage is perhaps the one that is a little bit more closed in. It's more kind of a closed venue, not so much that big stadium feel. All right. Imaging is pretty decent for the price. Detail retrieval is again not at its best, but it's fine. It's it's more than acceptable. Okay, and that in a nutshell basically covers the overall sound character of the Flame. Very good bass, relaxed, chilled, good texture, good. If I'm going to fault anything in the bass, could be a little bit quicker, but nothing that breaks, or that is offensive. The mids are flawless in my opinion. Probably the star of the show, and how how laid back, but at the same time, it's got. You listen to this and it kind of has vibes going of some of Penon's and ISN's products. Okay. And the Flame, look, the Flame is, and let's just bury this once and for all. Okay, unless somebody wants to buy me another Flame and send it to me so I can measure it and I can hear, the Flame is the 41T. End of story. You now decide what aesthetic you want and if you are willing to pay that extra $20 or not. Now, with regards to the SR5, when I tested the Soundrime, I liked it. I just found it a little bit forward in the way that it had its early pinna gain. It was a little bit forward in that aspect, kind of a QDC style. Let's go. And it, because the bass is very chilled out, very relaxed, it kind of made things a little bit edgy, not as natural sounding as I would like. Okay. Anyway, I've played it more than sufficient times. I've had it, just burning in just playing music to just burn it in and so on and so forth. And then now with these latest reviews that I've done, I started playing around with the cables and so on and so forth. And I came to discover that, as is obviously many times the case, we must choose carefully our tips that we already know. And in that aspect, the JUZEAR, the Flame again, and I'll mention something about it in a few minutes. In terms of the tips, it is very important. I tried the 07 tips, as you can see here. Okay, I tried as well the tips that I've got on the 41T, which is the radius. These tips, for me personally, are probably the best ones, but that's for me. Okay, and I tried the Core IR tips that I've got here on the Awur. I tried these tips as well. Okay, these tips have got that metal section there. All right. And every one of the tips gave a slight different termination to the sound above 6K. The one that I personally preferred was the radius tip on the Flame or on the 41T. It's for me, it's how it performs better. The cable, we already know it's something which can and cannot influence. But funny enough, and I was playing around with cables and trying different cables, I decided to let's give this cable I have here from IVipQ a go. It's a copper cable with a graphene and palladium. It's a mix of a copper and graphene and palladium, and I tried it out on the SR5 with these foam tips. Okay, and nice, very, very, very nice. It didn't give me any more bass. It just maybe slightly changed its tonality, ever so slightly. But what it did do was it calmed down that area there of 5, 6, 7Ks. It just brought it down ever so slightly and brought it down in a way that it matches now the rest of the frequency perfectly. And I can now confidently say that if the SR5 was not perhaps an initial recommendation of mine because of those issues that I mentioned, it is now definitely a solid rec. I've always said and mentioned the 41T as a definite rec for OnePlus 4, well under the $200 bracket. This now is definitely another rec. Okay, comparing the two, which does ultimately appeal more to me? Ultimately, the 41T just edges it out because I like that extra little amount of bass that it has. So it's just the bass here that outperforms slightly the SR5. Okay, in terms of the mids and the highs, they trade blows. Perhaps in certain instances, the SR5 will have just a little bit extra treble. All right, just a little extra upper mids and treble, and that's these three basically covered, which then finally leaves us with the AUR and the Performer 5. Performer 5, we already know what it sounds like. Okay, fantastic sound, really well executed, really well engineered IEM. We're going to have its bigger brother coming out now, the Performer 8, OnePlus 7, not a OnePlus 4 like this one. And that has all the makings again of being a fantastic IM and being able to surpass the success and the sound quality provided by the P5. Great bass, great low, sub bass, fantastic mid bass, mids very well executed, extension past 10K beautiful. In terms of its tonality, everything, it's absolutely spot on. Perhaps, and now being nitpicking as well, soundstage is the aspect that could be a little bit improved, but imaging, detailed retrieval, timbre and tonality, resolution, everything, in my opinion, considering the $219 price tag, and it's been down to $205 sometimes, fantastic. If anything, this IM kind of disrupted things significantly because the price that it is at, it doesn't match its performance. It's an IEM capable of trading blows with IEMs significantly more expensive, and one of those IEMs is precisely the AUR. The AUR is now being discontinued. When it was available, it was $380. OnePlus 6 also sports an 8mm driver, and the overall signature is very similar to the Performer 5. This particular set has been loaned to me by my good friend Gustavo. Sometimes, well, quite often has been loaning me some stuff, and he loaned me this set because I was constantly hearing people say that the AUR had a lot of extension, a lot of treble, and so on and so forth. And my set, it was fine. And when I tested my set and I compared it with the Performer 5, I said it back then that the Performer 5 had better treble than my particular AUR. Okay, it had, and I can show you the graph, and it does. And now that I received his set, and now that I've put the same 07 tips on it, and I've also tried it with these Core IR tips, I can say that my one does have less treble than this set. This set does have more treble, and if this set is more indicative of what other people have in terms of their AUR, then yes, then I will have to agree that this does have good extension past 10K. It has a treble that now more closely resembles the treble of the Performer 5. Although, in my opinion, and I've said it before and I'll repeat it and I'll stand by it, these two IEMs are extremely close in their performance. Very, very, very close. It's not in the bass where you see the difference. In the mids as well, it's not where you see the difference because they will trade blows. There will be songs that sometimes the Performer 5 will do a better job. Others that the AUR does a better job. I can give you just a few examples. For example, Analog from Soul Persona, I like it more on the AUR, but on the same token, House of Groove or Comfort Zone from Larry Carlton or House of Groove from Eugene Groove, I like it more on the full. If I'm talking about Leave You Lonely from Jesse Haley Moore, I like it more on the full. But what you want to do for what you want to do for love by Laura Henderson. I prefer it on the Yaur. So there again, they trade blows. In terms of the treble, the same situation. With my particular set, the Performer 5 is better. It's got more extension. Okay, not that the Yaur that I have was lacking. Please keep that in mind. With this particular set that has got more treble, they identical basically. They're very, very, very close. The only places where I was actually able to see a difference and again be able to say which one is the better set was with, for example, the C by Haven. The Performer 5, in my opinion, does it slightly better. La Belle Dame Sans Regrets from Chris Botti. Again, the Performer 5 does it ever so slightly better than the Yaur. But on the same token of now, which does it better, which does it worse, if I now go and listen to, for example, Blackbird from Lady Blackbird, the Yaur does it better. Please keep in mind, this is very minor differences. Okay, the differentiating issue here between the two is obviously the price, $219, $380. Okay, obviously this has now been discontinued, but when it was available, that was a big determining factor. It's not in the build quality that there is any advantage of one or the other, because they are both very well built. This is actually quite a big IEM, the Yaur, by comparison. I mean, you can see. Let me just get here the same right side so you can get a bit of perception. Okay, this is right side, a full Performer 5 with right side Yaur audio. The Yaur is monstrous. Okay, so in terms of what it can fit inside, there's plenty space. They both have 4 BAs, they both have an 8mm dynamic driver. The advantage that I see here, which dictates the reason why the full is small, is it's got 3D printed shell, which enables for a more consistent build across and a more consistent placing of and a tighter placement of the parts inside, and that allows for a better utilization of available space, and no need to make it larger than what it actually is. So in build, it's the same thing. Sound, they basically trade blows. It's just in terms of the price where you see a difference, and where you will decide, well, I want this one, I want that one. I mean, I heard so many people talk negatively about, well, not so many people, but I heard enough people talk negatively about the Performer 5. I honestly don't understand why. Obviously, everyone is entitled to their opinion, but the Performer 5, I mean, seriously, if you can really truly give me an IM which is better than the Performer 5 at the same price or cheaper, okay, fine. I will probably consider what you are saying in a more serious manner. But for the price, there is absolutely, I mean, I would take the Performer 5, however outrageous this might sound, but I will take a Performer 5 over the Blessing 2, for example. I will take it over the Blessing 2 Dusk, even though that I know the Blessing 2 Dusk is slightly better technically, but I will take it over the Blessing 2 Dusk, and I will take it over the Blessing 2. No issues there. And that's it, guys. I hope I've been able to once and for all clear the air about certain things, especially about the Flame and the 41T. It's the same IEM, end of story, period. With regards to the Sound Rhyme SR5 with the foam tips and with this graphene palladium and a copper cable, absolutely fantastic, the performance I got out of it, and I'll show you the graph now in a second. And the Performer 5 still stands as a fantastic IEM. I'm hoping that I will receive the Performer 8 tomorrow and do the comparison and an initial impression of it. I am sure that it's going to be another success, and I am sure that the price that they will give it to us will be a competitive price. I know it's going to be more expensive than this, but I am sure it will be competitive, not only with what it's offering, but competitive with what is available in the market. And finally, just that curiosity about the Yaur, that yes, my particular unit does have less treble than my friend's unit, and I'm sure, which is, I mean, this is the reality. However much we try and maintain a good level of quality control and everything, the differences will always appear. There will always be differences. You know, and I was hearing so many people talk about the awards having this extended treble that I was curious, and I'm happy that Gustavo actually borrowed me his, because there is a difference. The reality is there is a difference, and that's it, guys. Show you the graphs now and finish it up afterwards. Take care. Hi guys, and welcome now to this well, kind of an update on this Flame, JUZEAR Flame and JUZEAR 41T, and all the controversy that's been surrounding these two IEMs, and is it better, is it not better, or, you know, is it different, is it not different? Anyway, let me just start showing you here some diagrams. Okay, this first one that I'm going to show you is the 41T using the 07 blue colored tips. Okay, that's the 41T, and oops, sorry. All right, and the next one I'm going to show you, no, not this one, sorry, yes, that one there. Okay, and then the one, let me change the color here so you guys can see. Okay, all right, and that in red there is the Flame. I mean, it's the same IEM. It's the same IEM. This is not a difference that is to be considered or anything across here or anything. It is the same IEM. So using the 07 tips, the 41T and the Flame perform exactly the same. Okay, I'm going to take away now the 41T, just leave the Flame so I can show you how it is with two more tips, how it performs with two more tips. The first tip that I'm going to show you with is with the Core IR tip. I added it there just for the sake of seeing how it would you know, change and affect the sound, and it affected the sound around this area there of 6, 7, or the upper mids treble affected the sound there slightly, and slightly noticeably, yes. I could pick up that there was a slight difference there. And the other tip that I used, and is actually my preferred tip, is this one here. It's the radius tip. I like the way that it does this dropping off here in a more smooth manner, and it's noticeable, and it just polishes up the treble. It just makes the treble sound a lot smoother. You know, the treble in the 41T or in the Flame is not where it shines. It isn't. It's there in enough quantity and has enough energy, but it's never as perhaps you would consider to be prominent or as strong as what the graph might show. Okay, so that's that. So I hope that's been finally cleared, the issue between the, you know, the 41T and the JUZEAR. Now the 41T and the Flame. Now the next graph I'm going to show you is the award, my award. Okay, that's my award audio award. Okay, and this one now here is my friend's award audio award with the Core IR tip. Okay, and I tried it again. I tried the same tip on both, on mine and on his, both the 07 or the Core IR, and the difference was always the same difference that you see here. So his audio definitely has a slight more little bit of energy there at 3, 4, a little bit more there at 7 to 8, and the way it just drops off there is sufficient. There's enough extra amount there to dictate that you do notice a difference in the sound, and that it fills out the sound better. And what then that translates to is that if I then put a full performer next to it, next to his, you can see that there is more evenly matched than if I do it with my one. With my one, okay, although it seems that it's more evenly and more equal here, there's a lot bigger loss of energy across this area of the spectrum of 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and that loss of energy makes my particular awur sound darker, while my friend's Gustavo's it just has got that little extra amount that then kind of balances it out better, and they sound way more similar. Okay, so that's that there as well. And then finally, the other thing that I wanted to show you was the sound rhyme. Yes, the sound rhyme. There we go. 14. That's the sound rhyme. And where's the other? Yeah, that's yes, 17. Okay, so let me just change the color of this one here. Okay, so the top line is using the silicone tips, the bottom line is using the foam tip, and this difference here is just enough to make the sound rhyme now way more pleasurable, way more satisfying, and not so edgy like it was. It wasn't so much that it was this area yellow 5, because on either one it was down, so that wasn't this area that was the issue. It was just the way that it was a combination of the early Pina and that quite energetic treble area there, okay, coupled with the less bass that just made the SR5 with the silicone tips sound a little bit too vivid for my particular taste, okay, while with the foam tips, let me just take away, everything just kind of matches out. There's hardly any difference between the peak of the bass and the peak of the mids. They're kind of closer. There's more balance there. And then obviously, just for the sake of comparison, this is my friend's. Let me just change the color here of his awur audio. Let me put it here in red so you guys can see. Okay, this is my friend's awur audio. Awur. Big difference in the bass. Big difference. It's very noticeable. It's not so much in the mids, not so much in the treble that you see the difference, although the awur does have more extension and does have more details up top. Okay, so that's the awur. This here is with the Performer 5. Again, more bass, more extension, everything. The Performer 5 is just a nicer, more pleasant sounding IEM. I mean, if you look at how you see how everything maintains itself within a very narrow band. I mean, we're talking 64, 72, and everything stays within there. Even my friend's awur audio is a little bit more almost V-shaped. Okay, you have it's starting at 63, peaks at 75 for the bass, and if I 10 dB a 10 dB band, let's put it that way, so 63, 73 would be here. Okay, that's 10 dBs there, and you still have those slight little peaks that go above. Okay, what more can I show you here? So that's the sound rhyme with the that's it, and yeah, that's it. Oh yeah, but just for the sake of curiosity, let me just show you with the 41T or with the flame. Let me just change the color as well of the flame, put it in red. Okay, that's the flame in red, or the 41T with the radius tips compared with the sound rhyme SR5. You would think that by looking at the bass that they both have the same sort of bass. No, they don't. The bass of the 41T is slightly more. Also, at the same time, yes, the SR5 does have a little bit more treble than the flame, so that does also help push the focus towards that area of the spectrum. But I prefer the overall smoothness of the 41T or the flame over the SR5, although, as I said, now I can enjoy the SR5. Now I can actually listen to it and I enjoy it, and I can exploit what it has to offer. Okay, anyway guys, that's it. As always, like and subscribe. Any questions you might have, please feel free to ask. Thank you. Take care.